Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. Welcome into this early morning edition. Well, it's always early here on the East Coast, but we're ready to settle in for some Asian Dota of the highest caliber. Invictus Gaming taking on the Cinderella story that is the Chain Stack. Now, let's take a look at where we are with both of these teams. Invictus Gaming, IG. What really needs to be said to introduce the consensus strongest team on the planet? The defending international champions and defending G League champions. They're stacked with superstars at absolutely every position, and they just never seem to lose. And I don't just mean they never seem to lose best of 3 or larger series. They've only lost one game of competitive Dota, stretching all the way back to 2012. All the way back to December of 2012 is the last game they lost, except for the one, which they dropped to LGD International in the G League Finals. G-1, Ferrari, Zoe, Faith, YYF, 5 names, 1 team, one unstoppable force of esports dominance. Today, their opponents, again, that Cinderella story that is the Chain Stack. On the other side, we've got Chain Stack ready to carve out a legend of their own, and in fairness, they're off to a pretty fairy tale start so far. It's one thing to advance in a tournament with one upset win, but Chain's had to manage 2 to find themselves here in Phase 3. They stunned the world with a win over 4 Love in Phase 2 and followed it up with a 2-0 massacre of the Chinese squad Rising Stars to punch their ticket here to Phase 3. Now, the clock may be striking midnight for Cinderella, though, as Chains meets their first Phase 3 challenge in the form of the most fearsome Dota team on the planet. Can Chains make it a hat trick of upsets, or will they, like so many before them, succumb to the dominance of Invictus Gaming? We'll find out next here on the G-1 Champions League. If you're just tuning in, I'm Ayesee, and we're just about ready to get underway with game number 1. The bans and the picks moving quickly. The bans, Bad Rider, Nyx Assassin, Lifestealer, and Magnus all taken out, courtesy of Invictus and Chain Stack, respectively. Darkseer, the first pickup from Chain Stack. Now, this is especially exciting for me. I had the chance to broadcast Invictus Gaming live. I actually got to meet the guys and broadcast them at the International, too. That was a lot of fun, of course. But I haven't had a chance to broadcast them since then. And that's one of the big reasons I was so excited and remained so honored to be a part of the G1 Champions League this season. Get back into doing some Asian Dota and see the amazing talent that these kind of squads have to turn out. Now, if you're not really familiar or you're wondering why I keep calling the Chain Stack a Cinderella squad, it's because they basically have just come out of nowhere. They're a team headed by Risk, and Aussie, and they're kind of a mixed bag of Southeast Asia Dota players. You know, Australia, Philippines, Malaysia. I think I could be very wrong in that. I do know Risk is an Aussie though, but anyway, they getting past 4 Love was about as big a deal ever. Like basically them and the Illusion Tai were the big Cinderella stories in phase number 2. The Illusion Tai though just shut down and kind of run out of the tournament. He run out of the tournament eventually, but the Chain Stack not only won once, but won twice. Rising Stars, another very talented Asian squad that pretty much everyone gave a 9-1 odd to win. The Chain Stack, though, beat them 2-0. So, I mean, they're a squad that already has shown a lot of promise. And what makes me really excited to see them in action here today is the fact that the Chain Stack has nothing to lose here. Nothing whatsoever. Chain Stack can just take whatever approach they want. They can run a gimmicky lineup if they want. They can run a solid lineup if they want. And if they get blanked 0-2 and they lose in like 40 minutes, so it takes 40 minutes for IG to hang 2 losses on them, no one's going to think twice about that. No one's going to look at that and be like, God, they're just terrible. I mean, it's freaking Invictus Gaming. So that creates this really fun situation if you're the Chain Stack. If you keep up with, say, North American college basketball as a good example, they're kind of the Florida Gulf Coast right now of phase 3. If they lose, big deal. Who cares? And this is just one of many games they'll be playing in phase 3, so it's not like they win or go home. So if they lose, it's what everyone expected. But if they win, it's going to put them on a map in a gigantic way. And they can use that. They can use that comfort zone of, well, we have nothing to lose. This is our World Series. This is our International, because we may not get a chance to ever play against a team of this caliber again. And that makes them a very dangerous team, a very, very scary team to deal with right now. Anyway, both teams do round out their front 3. Invictus going to follow up the Lone Druid and Keeper of the Light picks with a Juggernaut pick. Shadow Demon, Darkseer, Tinker make the Chain Stack look pretty solid all around. I really like the Tinker pickup because when you look at IG's lineup, they're going to be pushing early, and it is going to be an absolute monster push they're going to have to deal with coming out of Keeper of the Light with Illuminate spam, Lone Druid with his Bear, Demolish, of course, just Maul's Tower, and Juggernaut. Juggernaut is the hero that I'm seeing get a lot more play in all geographic regions of Dota, and it really is encouraging to me. It's something that I am really enjoying seeing because Juggernaut actually opens the game up in a way that a lot of other heroes don't. You can play him as a mid-game damage dealer. You can get a Shadow Blade up on him, go drum Shadow Blade, then he's pretty tanky. It gives you a lot of single target damage, of course, with the bonus damage that comes out of Shadow Blade, not to mention the fact that his auto attacks are just a bit better. His skill set, of course, scales extremely well if you go with that kind of an approach, but he's also a pushing monster, especially whenever he's pushing with a hero like Lone Druid, dropping that healing ward, even if he only has 2 points in the healing ward. It makes the biggest difference in the world. So there's a lot of flexibility in how you build him, a lot of flexibility in how you want to use him, but I don't think it's any stretch of the imagination to say that IG is going to be looking to push really hard early with Keeper of the Light and Lone Druid on the side as well. Now, the chain stack, recognizing that, to pick up Tinker, very difficult to push into a Tinker at any stage of the game, but especially early on. Maxed out March of the Machines just makes it impossible to stand and fight underneath the tower. Makes it very, very dangerous and very all-in to try and dive under a tower when you know a Tinker's back there. Darkseer, of course, an extremely defensive hero early on. And I mean, Darkseer's just one of those heroes that does whatever you need him to do. He's good. He helps his team out in every way. He's great in team fights. He's great in small engagements. And kind of the same thing with Shadow Demon. I talk a lot about what really makes Shadow Demon a standout hero and why he, along with Rubik, are two of the most highly valued supports by so many teams across the entire planet. And it's the fact that he has the flexibility and versatility to be played offensively or defensively. You can play him aggressively or passively. You can play him under a tower or you can play him as a roamer. And that is going to help out a ton as well when Invictus Gaming comes knocking on those initial tier 1s and tier 2s, trying to exert their dominance on the map early on. Looking at the rest of the bans, Anti-Mage, Phantom Lancer, and Luna banned out by Invictus Gaming. They just don't want to have any late-game safety belt options available for the chain stack. And the chain stack says, that's fine, we're just going to go ahead and make sure our Tinker has a monster of a game. They're going to do that by banning out 3 extremely strong mids in Brewmaster, Queen of Pain, and Puck. So not just 3 extremely strong mids, but 3 mids that would really help out Invictus Gaming with being able to shut the door early. And let's be honest, I don't think there's anyone, myself included, who doesn't think that Invictus Gaming has the chance to hang 2 20-minute losses on the chain stack. I mean, it's Invictus Gaming. It's what they do. They're an amazing team, and the chain stack comes in, let's be honest, a tier 2 team. They are a team looking to get some experience, looking to maybe get another upset under their belt. But they are, of course, a little bit under-practiced in comparison to Invictus Gaming. They don't have the legendary talent necessarily, not to say they never will, not to say they don't have the potential, but they're not there yet. So, when you look at what the chain stack bans out, not just good mids, but mids that can start to fight at level 6. Queen of Pain, Brewmaster, Puck, all 3 of those heroes could hook up with a Lone Druid, a Juggernaut, and a Keeper of the Light, and just start diving towers immediately right at level 6. Now, they are going to go ahead and grab Invoker, so a lot of fanboys out there, this one included, putting their hands up in the air, probably going to get to see Ferrari on Invoker. Ferrari 430, if you're not familiar with the Chinese scene or with Invictus Gaming or with that name, you damn well should be. Ferrari 430, one of the most legendary players you're ever going to run across, and one of the most talented mid players you're ever going to see. So, waiting to see how the lanes are going to shape up. I mean, right now it seems pretty obvious. They're just going to pick up one more high-tier support, probably tri-lane the Jugger. They could honestly offensively tri-lane it if that's what they really want to do. Then solo safe the Lone Druid with Invoker in mid. The chain stack looking pretty cookie-cutter as well. Darkseer can either show up in the woods. He can start off in the off lane or dip into the jungle if he feels a little threatened. Tinker, most likely to go mid. Shadow Demon and Jakiro, fantastic synergy between those 2 heroes. Little surprised to see the chain stack pick up the Jakiro instead of a hero like a Leshrac. But OD going to be the last pickup from the chain stack, and that kind of makes things interesting. And I like that pick because OD can and will and can very effectively fight at about the time that Invictus Game is going to want to start getting active on the map. But basically, this game is going to be decided inside of 25 minutes. There's pretty much no doubt about it. When you have a Lone Druid on the map, Juggernaut can carry late. He's just not known for it. I mean, he has his crit with his passive, and that's all well and good. But the hero just is not meant really to be hitting his peak at that time. But the Lone Druid is just a monster at any point. And at this point, I don't even know why people don't ban Lone Druid. Like, seeing the Lifestealer banned out instead of Lone Druid, based on what I've seen in the last 30 to 45 days and just the way teams are beginning to figure that hero out, I would much rather face a Lifestealer any day of the week than I would a Lone Druid. And they are going to go ahead and grab that Rubik. So Rubik I've kind of talked about, very similar to Shadow Demon in the fact that he offers you a lot of options and how you want to lane and how you want to approach your game. But with the chain stack getting OD, there's just absolutely no potential for them to scale any kind of real right-click damage, any kind of just that one monster hero on into the late game, much past 30 or 40 minutes. So Invictus Gaming with the lineup, just because of the Lone Druid, has a bit more longevity, really solid draft out of them. The chain stack recognizing that that critical time from 15 to 25 minutes is really when they need to have the most punching power, and they put themselves in a fantastic position to do so. Just a matter of if they're going to be able to execute or not. You're just tuning in. Again, this is game one of this best of three between the chain stack and Invictus Gaming. Invictus Gaming, don't think they need an introduction. The Cinderella story of chain stack, though. I ran through it early. I'm not going to run through it again, but you should look into them. They're a team that's worth keeping an eye on, and I love stories like theirs. I get so excited whenever I get to broadcast a game like this because, again, depending on how they want to do this, they might actually, I don't know. Well, we'll wait to see how their lanes are going to shape up. They are going to offensively tri-lane it, and they've actually got Ferrari heading towards the top lane right now. Zoe on the Lone Druid. And we'll see where he's going to wind up. For the moment, the chain stack sticking together in their own jungle. And let's see if they're going to have a chance to spot anyone out. YYF poking his nose around the Roche pit for the moment. Doesn't look like there's going to be too much of a problem, though, as they already have dropped down awards. So, but definitely check into the chain stack. And what makes it so exciting to cast a team like this is at any given moment, they could surprise you. At any given moment, they can hang another upset on a big team and just continue to build their reputation. And it's so exciting to get in on the ground floor of something like that. And probably the best example of that would be Dignitas. Myself and Draskell, of course, my casting partner for the D2L. Friends with the Dignitas guys back since way back when, since I started broadcasting Dota all the way back, just a little over a year ago, actually. Still kind of surprises me that I've only been doing this for 12 months. But going back to them, we got to watch them go from a team that everyone said was, they're not bad, to now being one of the best on the planet. And just watching them develop from those early stages is just so rewarding. And it makes it so fun to be a part of this scene and of this community. So, tell you what, how about we run through our lineup, see who's handling who. We'll have Risk, the captain, playing on our Grape Crusader here on Darkseer, already beginning to cut the creeps against Ferrari. Shadow Demon going to be handled by Minerva, and we're going to have our OD farmed by Chains, the eponymous, that word never really sounds right when I say it, but hero of the chain stack. And now Ferrari's in trouble, actually. He's going to be disrupted. They're going to follow this up, and they're going to hang a first blood on IG. Ferrari doing what damage he can, but great movement from the chain stack. And off to a great start. Remember what I was saying about a team that has nothing to lose? A team that can just play balls to the wall and say, you know what? We take a risk and it doesn't go well, so what? It's Invictus Gaming. They're expected to beat us. Instead, they get first blood on the board, and they're off to a grand start. And holding down Ferrari going to be very important for them in terms of increasing their viability in the mid game, which, again, because of their draft, is going to be the most important part of their entire game. So, Chain's down here already under some little bit of aggression out of IG, but for the most part sitting under his own tower, soaking up some experience, and no last hits yet, so he is struggling in that regard. But we can already see, I mean, what can Ferrari do here? He just can't risk being caught out again. Faith has made his way over now and should be looking to help him out. This will free up a little bit of space for him. Would love to continue running through the lineups, but I feel as if action could break out at any given moment here. And yeah, the tier 1 top already down to a quarter health, and there's just not a whole lot that can be done about it at this stage. And we'll see if they're going to continue. Nope, they are going to smoke and move elsewhere. And I was actually just going to say, we'll see if they're going to continue to sit here and just abandon risk to his fate and look to apply pressure elsewhere. Back to this mid lineup, mid matchup, I should say. Only level 1 on Tinker so far. He'll be level 2 very soon. And there it is. And we'll see what he wants to skill, if it's going to be rockets or laser. We've got the 2 from the chain stack have already made their way down. And Zoe is actually heading real close to them. They back out just in time to preserve their smoke. And they may go for this. Zoe down in the river, the bear way up front. Here they go. Minerva shows himself, and now Zoe has to bail. Can he catch him? Doesn't look like he can. Oh, the ice path got him right at the tip. Allows the disruption to go off as well. Now here comes the follow-up dual breath. Doing what damage they can. Rockets are there. And 1 laser. That's 2-0. That is 2-0. The chain stack making it look easy. playing without fear and executing when it matters the most. Now, the counter blow in bottom. Chain's going to be eating a Blade Fury as well as a Fade Bolt that will be able to get finally their first kill on the board. But still, 2-1, and they've managed to pick off Ferrari and Zoe both. And now moving these supports around, likely to go ahead and give some attention to this bottom lane to allow their OD a little bit more room to farm. I love it. I'm grinning ear to ear. This is what I wanted to see out of you, Chains, and I feel like, such a fun team to broadcast, playing completely fearless and getting the most out of their lineup against the team that no one expected them to have a chance against. Now, this is all positive for them. Make no mistake, we take an early look. They're off to a decent-ish little gold lead. Not absolutely huge, but they are eking out a bit of an advantage already. But what's going to matter is not their initial goals, but what they're able to do with this. Okay, they've gotten a little bit of a lead now in golden experience. These two supports have been very effective moving around, but they can't just stop there. Invictus Gaming is not a team that you want to get into a grinded-out match with. When you just don't want to be in that situation where the teamwork and the consistency of Invictus Gaming is something you're allowing to flourish. You have to apply pressure. You have to create openings. You have to do anything you can to take them out of their rhythm. Otherwise, they will just grind you out, and they will get a win based on nothing but mechanics and based on, for lack of a better way to put it, skill difference. Not to say Shane Stack doesn't have plenty of skill, but, I mean, let's be honest here. Now, YYF going to be caught out. He's down to half health. He's still running. He's got 3 stacks now, and Illuminate's going to be the counter shot, and they are going to be able to get a kill. Rubik picks off Shadow Demon as he tried to retreat by virtue of the bounce from the Fade Bolt. So what we're left with now is a try-on-try. The offensive try lane out of IG here, I feel like, has a chance to be very, very strong. There is no hard disable at all on their side, though. That's something that's going to be a concern. And you have more than a couple on the other side. You have Astral Imprisonment, you have Disruption, you have Ice Path, not to mention the Slow of Dual Breath. So they're going to be relying a lot on Telekinesis. And one well-placed Telekinesis from G-1, though, certainly going to be able to get them kills in the right situation. And there's an Imprisonment, just trying to reduce that mana pool. And yeah, YYF just now has enough mana to actually spend one time. Taking a look elsewhere on the board, Ferrari under his own tower. That tower actually in deny range now. And Darkseer just continuing to cut creeps. I'll tell you what's impressive, though. Ferrari's actually caught up after dying and giving up first blood and how much pressure he was initially. Risk and he are actually tied on top in terms of CS. That is genuinely impressive. And now they're going to go. Here's the TP reaction, though. They may be caught with their hand in the cookie jar. And, yep, there's the cold snap on Minerva. Sunstrike going to miss. Not even necessary, though. He disrupts himself, but it's just going to delay the inevitable. And, yeah, a little greedy that time. If they brought an extra hero, I would have been a bit more behind it, but you can't just assume that you're going to get away with that. Against a team like Invictus Gaming, they're going to have their TP reaction. They're not just going to leave Ferrari, of all people, hanging out like that. And caught out being a little bit too aggressive. 2-3 now. Invictus Gaming has added 3 kills to the board and has caught up and surpassed their opponents. The gold now moving in their direction, the experience as well. And this is where you have to worry. Again, this is where IG can now begin to settle back and grind it out. And that's not something Chains needs to allow to happen. That's the whole purpose of the OD pick. That's the whole reason you get him instead of another carry. Or another more late-game oriented or more all-around carry. You pick him up so you can fight earlier, so you can rely on the pure damage that he can pour out even early on. And Darkseer actually does get a kill on G-1. In the meantime, Ferrari's being pursued out, and the Shadow Poison being stacked. There's the Ice Path, going to allow them to close some distance. More Shadow Poison. He will be able to make it back to his own tower. But Chains able to get us back to a tie. Make it 3-3. 7 minutes in, 6 kills on the board. Fairly aggressive game out of everyone so far. Soul Ring's done on our Darkseer. He's got his headdress done as well. And working on that mech, of course, now, though. IG looking to get a return kill. Ward's going to go down, and here we go. G-1 shows his face. Telekinesis, Sunstrike. That's twice they've done that, actually. And Chains will imprison himself. Buys a little bit of time. Oh, wow. YYF just going to be ulted to death. And Chains will end up dead here eventually. They'll track him down, surely. Making his way over into the jungle. He's going to try to TP away, but... Yep, there we go. It's actually a little... What I'm really surprised by, and it's robbed them of at least one kill and actually cost them a death there, is the miscommunication between Ferrari and Rubik, between G-1 and Ferrari. G-1, using telekinesis, is throwing these heroes, and it's twice he's done it, throwing him away from a Sunstrike. So I'm not sure if, what the problem is. If Ferrari's just so active on the map that he's recognizing it and pulling the trigger without even being alerted of it, so G-1's not assuming Ferrari's going to be a part of the engagement. But here's the telekinesis on the Tinker. Here comes Zoe as well. Little body action and cold snap. Now, though, the root actually cost him that time. The root actually cost him the potential for that Sunstrike to land, but they do get a kill. And Tinker's not a hero they can really afford to lose right now. And this is exactly what they need to be doing. They're moving a lot. They're trying to find any openings they can against Invictus Gaming. And this is the right call, but it is going to have... You're going to wind up with situations like that where you're just moving to the wrong piece of real estate. And now just the keeper left alone to grab some levels. He is now joined by Ferrari. Ferrari, it has gone pure Exort. 1 point in the Quas and Wex, the rest into Exort. So you will be looking to deal out a lot of damage. Now some movement from Minerva and Legendary, both making their way through the Radiant side jungle. The rest of the lane's relatively quiet, but we may see some pressure applied here. Faith is probably going to TP someone in. And yep, he is. That's going to be Chuan that arrives, courtesy of the Keeper of the Light, as Allure Express. And anticipating, perhaps, the movement down here. Or just looking for a kill. Hopefully it'll go a bit better for them this time. Chains, though, in great defensive position. They've got Shakiro and the Shadow Demon down in the woods. And Invictus Gaming playing back here, playing safe. YYF does continue to farm. Looks like he's going to be going for drums as he has picked up his Robe of the Magi. Zoe in mid, though, is becoming a monster. He's got 40 last hits. And given he was picked off once, playing a pretty solid game, coming back, he's on top of the leaderboard so far as CS, 43 for the Darkseer. OD, in fairness, is doing quite well, too. Chains has been under a lot of pressure, very active lane down here. And he's actually out farming the Juggernaut now. YYF. Now one-on-one with Risk. And more movement. But so far, not a whole lot to show for either side. 9 kills on the board, 10 minutes in. Taking a look at the bear. Nothing on it. We'll see what Zoe's going to pick up here. He could go Midas if he really just wants to play an ultra-safe sort of an approach. Given his team's composition, though, I'd really like to see a much more aggressive build out of him. A Maelstrom sort of a build. Hell, even the Armlet Maelstrom build that we're seeing a lot now is very potent. And yeah, we are going to see some aggression. There's the smoke out of IG. They smoke under their own tower. And this could go very badly for Chains. Ferrari's there. He's at full health. He's got his 3 teammates running through now. And this is likely to be a very strong dive. And the smoke's actually popped. And there we go. They spot out Legendary. Legendary's going to double back, goes through. Now the counter engagement. Minerva's going to be telekinesis, but ult goes off. Omni Slash doing good damage. Minerva going to eat some damage. Ice Path not going to catch anyone. Shadow Demon does drop. Off goes the ulti from Chains, but just not enough damage out of it. Just not getting enough damage out of that ult right now. Risk is going to surge himself under his own tower. Oh, Chains going to eat that Ice Path, though, from Legendary. Buy some time. He's fresh back. And they may be able to get a return kill. Maybe. Legendary will. Oh, he got rooted, and he will end up dropping. Risk now forced to surge away. And IG on the warpath. They've opened up quite a lead now. 7-4. That was a bit more of a helter-skelter fight than I think either team wanted. But with the death of this tower, they're going to increase that lead to around 2,000 gold. And Chains trying to do what he can. He's actually picked up a headdress. So we'll see what he's going for here. It's a little surprising, to be honest. Not sure why he would have a headdress. The Darkseer's got his mech complete, so possibly on his way to a pipe. For now, though, Zoe holding his own. He's got 2,300 gold in the bank. He may be going for a Radiance build. I'm not the biggest fan of Radiance build, but if you can get it up quick enough, it can be worthwhile. His farm is not super excellent, though. 54 at 12 is plenty acceptable, but it's not as if he's had a remarkable farming game early. Down at bottom, we can now see Johnny with his Boots of Travel complete. He's beginning to bounce around, exert his dominance on the map as much as he can, his influence on the map, I should say. In the meantime, IG rattling their saber here in the shadow of this tier 1 mid. And this is what we anticipated, we knew was coming. Given their lineup, they have the ability to pour on an immense amount of push pressure. But this is their #1 problem. That quick mech on Darkseer, a very big pickup for Chain Stack, and March of the Machines makes it extremely difficult to stand and fight. Basically, as soon as that March comes out, you either commit to a 5-on-5 fight under the opponent's tower or you have to back out. Anything else is a 100% losing proposition. Back to IG. Still hanging out, waiting for an opening here in mid. There's an Ice Path going to split the wickets. A lot of damage being done to G-1, though. He got the Ice Path, but look how low he is. Almost dies to March alone. That's exactly what I was talking about. You cannot fight in March. Not at this level. That is a maxed out March in the Machines, as anticipated. And G-1 just about died. Here we go. They're going to go for it again. Ice Path's going to catch Tinker. If they can get Tinker, it's huge. Disruption catches him. Now the follow-up. And Johnny forced to run away. Mech going to get everyone back in fighting shape, but the team has to retreat. Risk has to surge away. And Johnny's still being pursued. Omni Slash is there if he wants it. No, Ice Path's going to catch him as he tries to retreat. Chains forced all the way back to their tier 2. And right now, Invictus Gaming is just bullying Chain Stack. That was a flat-out dive. But because they got the target they had to have, which was the Tinker, they're able to force them back out from under their tier 1 all the way back to the tier 2 and claim the tier 1 as a prize. 14 minutes in, towers beginning to drop all over the place, and IG beginning to put this lineup through its paces. We're at just about 2,500 gold, their advantage, 1,500 experience. Not the biggest in history, certainly not insurmountable. But Chain Stack has a lineup that is drafted to fight right now, and so far, they have not been able to hold their own whatsoever. And now, top tier 1 going to be the target. Don't think they could really have any chance to challenge this at all. We are going to see an Astral Imprisonment catch the Juggernaut, but the tier 1 will drop in the meantime. Back to Zoe. He is going to be getting the Maelstrom. I like this build a lot more. Saw him banking up over 2,000 gold. Thought he was going for his Relic on his way to Radiance, but instead going with this, much more stable in my opinion. Drum's going to be done on YYF. Mech going to be done on Faith. And IG just beginning to roll. Ferrari's picked up a Yules as well. So very mid-game centric build on every hero for Invictus Gaming. No surprise to see that one little bit either. I mean, that is just standard stuff. I don't think there's any surprise to speak of. And Chain's trying to find some equilibrium. They've taken down one tower. That was that top tier 1. The rest of the towers, though, still standing for Invictus Gaming. Now, let's talk about what Chains can do to get themselves back into this. They still have a lot of team fight potential that still has not been tapped into. Risk is just level 9. Level 10, we'll see him put his first point into wall. At level 11, we'll see him put his second point into wall. YYF may get... Yep, he is going to back up. And some rocket spams there. Ice Pass go out in both directions. But everyone makes it away safely for the moment. Having vacuum walls is a huge deal for Risk. And he's not far from having his first point into it now. Outworld Devourer. OD is his name. His name is Outworld Destroyer, okay? That's what he does, and I'm old school that way. Yay, I can actually claim to be old school for the first time in my Dota career. But anyway, we haven't really seen a whole lot out of him. We saw him get a good return kill on YYF after the failed dive at bottom. But other than that, we just have not seen his mid-game potential come to any sort of major influence at all. And his window of opportunity is going to close real soon if he's not careful. Taking a look at the net worth, we can see they're holding their own, at least in terms of Darkseer and Tinker. The Lone Druid is tops on the board, certainly not the situation you want to be in. He has completed it. Yep, he's going with the Armlet Maelstrom. And this is becoming more and more standard. I mean, there are some teams and players who've been doing it for a while. It's certainly not novel. But it is something that was more situational or more rare than it is now. This is the fourth game in a row I've seen this build done. Oh, no, I lied. The game 2 yesterday, actually, it was a Desolator that came out, but that was more because the game was already over. But yeah, I've seen it a lot in the last 48 hours, we'll put it that way. It is very strong, adds a ton of push potential, and no, Legendary. Gonna eat a solo Omni Slash, cleaned up completely. And Chain Stack sands their twin-headed dragon for 20 seconds. Let's see what IG wants to do with it. They're just going to go ahead, move over to top lane and look to take this tier 2. Rocket spam buy some time. They need to catch Johnny. Oh, wow. G-1 got out there a bit. Mech going to get him back up and ready to fight, though. He's got Ice Pad. If he can get March, it'd be huge. That's what he was going for there and why he dove so hard. And now Risk going to be caught out. Can they follow it up? They will. Telekinesis. There comes the Rock as well. He will not be brought out. Illuminate the follow it up, but the root! He got the root and the Sunstrike not even needed. Actually, Invoker did get the kill with the Sunstrike there. I thought the Bear was going to get it. Very fortuitous root for our Lone Druid. And they're going to be able to claim another tier 2. 4-9. They're now more than doubling up their opponents. The tower is beginning to disappear from this map one by one. Force staff to pick up on chains, so he just has a casual headdress. He likes the way it looks. And it's in season this year is what Oprah told him. The casual headdress. But anyway. Force staff not surprising. And an item he desperately needs, but he's already beginning to be outclassed. The top 3 net worth now on the board. All 3 belong to Invictus Gaming. And, yeah, I mean, Tinker's being outclassed by an Invoker who gave up first blood and lost his tower early in the game. I mean, this is just what I was talking about. Chain Stack has had to play defensive for the last 5 to 8 minutes. And you can't do that against Invictus Gaming. They will beat you. They are just that good as a team. They're that good mechanically. They're that good in terms of raw skill. You have to apply pressure. And I felt like Chains did an amazing job of that in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the game. But after 1 or 2 things didn't go their way, they've now had to play back, and Invictus is just out grinding them. Blink Dagger the pickup now on the Invoker. So Ferrari going with a high mobility approach. Blink Dagger plus Yule's going to keep him out of trouble. And allow him to play much more aggressive than he might be able to otherwise. The rest of the inventory on the side of Chains, quite barren at the moment. Tinker has Bottle, Bots, and his Soul Ring at 20 minutes into the game. Taking a look at the CS. I mean, he's sitting on top in terms of CS, 94 to 99, but this is what you can do. And one of the things that makes Lone Druid such a high-value pick and such a hard hero to deal with is there are 2 ways to get him ahead. I mean, he's not known necessarily as a guy who's going to get a lot of kills early on. Juggernaut is a hero who can snowball really quickly that way. But what a Lone Druid can do is say, okay, I can either just farm my butt off and just have an amazing game in terms of CS, or I could just start to push with my team and I'll just get ahead because you have no towers up anymore. Because I've picked up 6,000 gold advantage on you from nothing but towers. And that's the case here. And his team's not really suffering in terms of levels for it either. And now, oh no, another root gonna catch Legendary. And Zoe patting that Spirit Bear on the back. Good boy. Rooting down the twin-headed dragon. Oh, Johnny gonna eat an Omni Slash. Now the follow-up, and yeah, with Johnny down, they can't defend. Does he have buyback? He does not. That hurts. They honestly, there's no doubt they're getting the tier 2. They may push to tier 3. Johnny is the only thing that has kept Chain Stack alive so far. Just the strength of March of the Machines. With him down, yeah, Tower's down. He's down another 20. Yep, here we go. No surprise to see this at all. They're just going to rush the tier 3. It's going to drop, no doubt about it. The Bear with Armlet plus Maelstrom. Aegis up on Zoe. They don't, just not caring at all. Standing in the macro pyre because his feet are cold. And that's going to be our first set of racks. And it wouldn't surprise me to see Chains called GG right now. There's just no chance they can possibly win this game now. The Lone Druid's too far ahead. They don't have any late game carry potential worth mentioning. And they actually leave the ranged rack standing because why not, I guess. They could have stood and fought that easily. And I hate to sound so fatalistic, but Chains drafted a team that needed to weather this storm and get ahead with early aggression and rely on the Tinker. They can't lose the racks at 22 minutes with this lineup. The OD has been a complete non-factor. He has been absolutely a non-factor. And now, IG not done yet. They've got an Aegis, and they are ready to roll. Looks like Ferrari will be getting himself a Hex. He's got his ultimate orb on the way to that. YYF has added a Yasha to his inventory to go with his drums and phase. And Oh, good vacuum right into the ice path. Return ice path, though. There's the macro pyre. Will they engage? Deafening blast isn't in anyone, but they are eating some damage. Risk will be cleaned up, though. And yeah, they're just too tanky. They're too far ahead. This wasn't a bad engagement out of Chains, but they just don't have the damage. And Darkseer's going to buy back. Don't know that it's going to matter much. Another good ice path out of Legendary. He's been hitting his skill shots for the most part. Return, though, comes from Rubik. But, yeah. We take a look at the hero levels. Lone Druid way up top. Everyone else basically outclassed except for the Darkseer. Net worth. Lone Druid on his way to doubling up the highest farmer on the side of Chains. They just lost too much map control early. They started out so well, too, is what's disappointing. Getting the first 2 kills on the board. A really well-executed gank on top and on mid. But they got into a grinded out fight. They tried to outgrind IG. You try to outgrind IG 99 times out of 100. I don't care what team you are. This isn't just saying that Chains is not a good team. Most teams on the planet, and by most, I mean 99% of them, in this matchup, have to play a much more aggressive lineup or a much more aggressive style and not get into a grinded out match with IG. These players playing together now for a while, and that's the other extremely difficult thing to deal with again, when you take on a team like IG. It's one thing that they're as good as they are. It's one thing, that they have so much individual talent. But they're so experienced now as a squad, playing as a 5-man cohesive unit, that their communication is going to be better than just about anyone's. Winning on stages like the International, on stages like G League, they've been there. And especially for an online Phase 3 qualifier, this is not going to phase them at all. This is going to feel very comfortable for them. Here we go. Tier 3 bottom going to be the target. A lot of spam on both sides, but IG feeling relatively unhampered by it. That bear just going to work. So now eating a little bit of damage. March the Machines, good vacuum though, brings them together. Follow up the wall way too late. YYF might end up dead. No, Minerva going to be cleaned up. The macro pyre's down. Quickly fades though. And they're going to re-rush this. Yep, now they're going to end up on the racks, just slowly sidestepping the wall. That was a decent wall out of Risk, but the vacuum, or decent vacuum, I should say, the wall just way too late. Second set of racks goes down and the GGs come out. 25 minutes it took Invictus Gaming to prove what everyone already suspected, that they remain a terrifying team for anyone to deal with. I'm Ayesee, and you're tuned in to One More Game TV2. Hope you're enjoying the show. This is G-1 Champions League, Season number 5, Phase 3. Yeah, gotta make sure I get my numbers right. Season number 5, Phase 3 of the Asia Qualifier. Hope you guys are enjoying your time here. Don't forget that at the end of the broadcast today, to celebrate the fact that One More Game TV2, this channel surpassed 10 million views just yesterday. I'm going to be giving away 10 games on Steam. And not just like 10 any games. I'm going to be giving away 10 pretty cool games. In fact, I'm giving away 10 of my favorite games. Giving away Fallout New Vegas. Going to be giving away Civilization 4, which is better than Civilization 5, so say we all. Going to be giving away LA Noire and a bunch of other games. So make sure you guys stay tuned in. Not just for game number 2, not just for game number 3 if we see a game number 3. But make sure you stay tuned in and just hang out here a little bit after the broadcast here on One More Game TV2. IG, oh, thank you guys. Oh my goodness, they waited. The Ancient's gonna blow up. The right one's gonna blow up. Oh, so pro. So pro. So pro. Absolutely love these guys. And ready to get moving to game number 2. 26 minutes, 35 seconds, the official game time. 4-14, the final kill score, favoring Invictus Gaming. Chain stack, the underdogs, for a reason. They're going to be trailing 0-1. They're going to need to turn that bagel into a breadstick if they want to have any hope of a win here today. Invictus Gaming, though, going to look to slam the door on Chain stack like they have so many teams in their career. Game number 2 of this best of 3 heading your way next. I'm Ayesee. Make sure you stay locked here on One More Game TV2. We'll be right back.